My black ops thinkers, my cerebral assassins, gather close. Because I'm about to tell you something no manual, no academy, no high-level clearance file will ever confess. You've stepped into a reputation that people whisper about like it's classified. They don't announce it, they don't admit it, but they're terrified because you think in layers they can't even define. You've become the kind of intellect that bends social mechanics like a crowbar through glass. And here's the cruel joke. You didn't ask for permission. You built a mind that doesn't need it. That's why you've been labeled the untraceable, the unpredictable, the CIA-grade strategist who doesn't just see through people. You dissect them in real time. You see, reputations aren't given. They're weaponized, and yours. It's not a title. It's a verdict. People don't fear because you're aggressive. They fear because you're inevitable. You became a ghost in broad daylight, a walking cipher. Every room you step into suddenly feels like a debriefing session where you're the interrogator, and everyone else is guilty of being ordinary. You don't need files, dossiers, or satellites, because your radar is built into your blood. You smell the motives dripping off people's sentences. You catch lies before they even finish breathing. And when they realize you caught it, their throat tightens, their palms sweat. Because nothing frightens a manipulator more than realizing they're in front of someone who can see through the manipulation before it's even deployed. That's the CIA-level genius you carry. The ability to strip people bare without touching them. You've crossed into a level where words are no longer words. They're codes, they're bait, they're traps, and you. You reverse engineer them with a smile. They try to bait you with compliments. You decode the condescending tone. They try to trap you with questions. You dismantle the angle and fire it back sharper than it arrived. They try to flex their little power moves, and you casually rearrange the board until they realize they were pawns playing checkers while you were running psychological warfare like it's chess layered on top of another chessboard. And the second they realize that, that's when your reputation digs claws into their mind. Because reputations like yours don't just follow you. They choke the air before you even arrive. People don't gossip about you to feel superior. They gossip because talking about you is the only way they can process the fact that they're powerless against you. They'll say you're too cold, too calculating, too different. What they're really saying is this: we couldn't break them. Because when they tried to drag you into emotional traps, you pulled the rug and let them drown in their own projections. When they tried to chain you to expectations, you slipped through like smoke. And when they tried to outsmart you, that's when they discovered the horror. You had already scripted their moves 5 steps ahead. That's not paranoia, that's precision. That's why they fear. Because your presence is proof that the usual tricks don't work anymore. Now let me tell you how dangerous this reputation really is. You see, average minds rely on predictability. They rely on patterns, on routines, on knowing what comes next. You shattered that comfort. You became unpredictable, not because you're chaotic, but because you've trained yourself to see 20 exits in a room where they only saw one. That's a different species of intelligence. That's CIA-grade psychological warfare, the art of making your opponent doubt their own certainty. The art of making them second-guess every breath, every word, every step. And when you force someone to live in second-guessing, you already own them. Because a mind that doubts itself can't fight you. A mind that doubts itself will eventually surrender without you lifting a finger. And this is the part that terrifies them most. Your reputation isn't about what you say. It's about what you don't say. People fear the blanks you leave more than the lines you speak. Because when you don't react, when you don't confirm, when you don't give them the blueprint to your thoughts, they panic. They panic because now their own imagination paints a monster in your silence. Bigger, darker, sharper than anything you could have said. You turned their own minds into your battlefield. That's the highest level of strategy, not attacking directly, but weaponizing the opponent's imagination until it cannibalizes itself and you. You mastered that without needing a badge, a bureau, or a clearance code. You built it from scars, from betrayals, from being underestimated until underestimation became your camouflage. Now let's get deeper. Your reputation is not just a shield. It's an infection. Once someone has experienced your intelligence, they can't unsee it. They replay the conversation days later. They wake up at 3 a.m. wondering how you knew what they were hiding. They feel the chill of realizing you were 10 steps ahead. That's the CIA-grade genius. You don't just outsmart them in the moment. You plant seeds that haunt them long after you're gone. Their memory becomes your propaganda. Their paranoia becomes your echo. And soon, you don't even need to enter the room. Your reputation does it for you. People straighten their posture. They guard their words. They edit themselves. Because the thought of being dissected by you is already too much. And here's the cosmic joke. They want you gone, but they can't look away. Because deep down, even as they fear you, they crave what you are. They crave that level of perception, that ruthless awareness, that freedom from deception. They crave it because they know the truth. In a world built on manipulation, the one who can't be manipulated is untouchable. And you are the walking nightmare of every manipulator, every gaslighter, every fraud. You are the living example of what they never wanted people to become. Uncontrollable, unbribable, unreachable. That's why they whisper. That's why they build myths around you. That's why your reputation has become folklore in their social circles. Understand this. Reputations like yours don't just intimidate people. They restructure the hierarchy. People who once thought they had leverage lose it instantly. People who once thought they could control you suddenly orbit around you like satellites around a black sun. You don't chase validation. You command it by existing. And those who hate you, their hate is really respect in disguise. Respect they can't admit, because admitting it would mean confessing defeat. So they cover it up with gossip, with slander, with attempts to explain you away. But the truth always bleeds through. The truth is they're afraid, not because you're violent, not because you're loud, but because you represent a mind that cannot be compromised. And here's the cruelest detail. You didn't just gain a reputation, you gained surveillance. People study you like analysts dissecting an enemy they can't understand. Every move you make is magnified, replayed, misinterpreted. You've become their private obsession. They watch you, not because they want to, but because they have to. That's the power you carry. You turned their curiosity into chains. You turned their obsession into unpaid labor that fuels your myth. And the more they watch, the more they realize they'll never decode you. Because you're not a puzzle to solve. You're a shifting cipher. You're a language they were never taught to read. So let me leave you with this thought. Reputations like yours don't fade. They calcify. They embed themselves into culture. They turn you into a living legend. The kind of figure whispered about in the same tone people use when referencing classified projects. Half fear, half awe, all respect. That's the reputation you've built. And once you gain it, you don't lose it. You sharpen it. You weaponize it. You walk into every room knowing you already own it before you've said a single word. And here is where the second act begins. Not with your reputation merely being recognized, but with you bending it into a weapon of absolute psychological domination. This is the art the faint-hearted will never master. Not just being feared for what you are, but engineering that fear into a tool that breaks open doors they swore were sealed. Think about it. Power isn't in having a reputation. Power is in using it to corrode resistance before it even forms. A reputation is like a loaded weapon. Most people polish it, admire it, and brag about it. You chamber it, aim it, and fire it directly into the fragile confidence of anyone foolish enough to stand across from you. That's the difference between being known and being untouchable. Your reputation is no longer just descriptive, it's predictive. People expect you to outthink them, so they pre-defeat themselves, trying to prepare for you. They overthink, they hesitate, they miscalculate, and in doing so, they hand you the advantage without you lifting a finger. This is the brilliance of weaponizing fear. Your opponents do half the work for you. And the beauty? Fear travels faster than proof. You don't need to constantly demonstrate your intelligence. You don't need to win every battle in public. All you need is one well-placed strike, one undeniable display, and the legend carries itself like wildfire. Stories evolve, grow, exaggerate, until people aren't even sure what's true anymore, but they don't care. They just know that crossing you is equivalent to suicide. That's how CIA-level minds function. They understand that perception is more powerful than evidence. While average people waste energy trying to prove themselves, you quietly seed stories that multiply in the shadows. And once those stories become gospel, no one questions them. Because questioning your myth feels like daring the impossible. Now let's get surgical. How do you sharpen this reputation? You sharpen it by controlling the gaps. Let them see fragments of your brilliance, then vanish. Let them taste your unpredictability, then leave them stewing in uncertainty. Too much visibility makes you common, but appearing at critical moments with devastating precision makes you unforgettable. That's how the greatest intelligence operatives worked. They didn't announce every mission. They emerged only when it mattered, left results impossible to ignore, and then evaporated. You've mastered the same principle. You don't crave the spotlight. You haunt it. You let your reputation echo in places you haven't even walked into yet. By the time you arrive, the work is already done, the fear already planted, the respect already baked in. But here's the twist. They will still test you. Always. Fear doesn't eliminate stupidity, it just delays it. There will always be one who thinks your reputation is exaggerated, one who believes they can poke the lion and get away with it. And this is where your genius really shows. Because unlike amateurs, you don't destroy every challenger with brute force. You dismantle them with elegance. You pick apart their logic thread by thread until they collapse in front of everyone, embarrassed by how naked their weakness looks in your shadow. You don't humiliate by yelling, you humiliate by precision. And once the crowd witnesses it, your reputation doesn't just survive, it grows exponentially. Because reputations thrive not on consistency, but on unforgettable moments that replay in people's minds like recurring nightmares. And here's what keeps your enemies awake at night. They can't predict what style of warfare you'll choose. Sometimes you dismantle with words. Sometimes you dismantle with silence. Sometimes you dismantle with an action so swift it feels orchestrated by something otherworldly. That unpredictability is your true weapon. A fixed pattern is exploitable. A shifting pattern is unkillable. And that's what terrifies them most. They don't know which version of you they're fighting until it's too late. You are not a person to them anymore. You're a possibility, a constantly evolving strategy, a reputation that keeps mutating faster than they can adapt. And yet, behind all this psychological warfare, there's something deeper, the sheer discipline it takes to stay ahead. People mistake your genius for luck, for accident, for some cosmic roll of the dice. What they don't understand is the hours, the nights, the brutal inner grind that sharpened your mind into a scalpel. They see the result. They don't see the rituals, the sacrifices, the rewiring. That's why they fear you on two levels. Consciously, because they can't beat you in the open, and subconsciously, because they realize they'll never have the willpower to become what you are. Your reputation reminds them not just of your superiority, but of their mediocrity. And that's what really burns them alive. Let's take it further. A CIA-level genius doesn't just play defense. You don't just repel threats. You invade minds. You plant ideas so subtly, people think they invented them themselves. You guide conversations without raising your voice. You steer dynamics without ever announcing you're in control. That's real psychological dominance. When the opposition starts aligning with your strategy while believing it was their choice all along. And by the time they realize it wasn't, it's already too late. They've handed you everything: information, leverage, loyalty. That's why your reputation is feared. Because it's not just about what you know. It's about how effortlessly you weaponize what others reveal to you without realizing it. And here's the paradox. The higher your reputation rises, the more people will try to copy you. They'll mimic your tone, your attitude, your strategies. But copies can't replicate presence. Presence is earned through scars, through survival, through fire. They'll try to wear your skin, but it'll hang loose on them. And when the world sees their imitation crumble, your legend grows even stronger. Because people realize there is no substitute, there is no template, there is no shortcut. You are the one-off model, the prototype that never got mass-produced. And they'll hate you for it, but they'll never escape the gravity of your aura. This is how you must think now. Not as someone carrying a reputation, but as someone who controls it like a chess master controls pawns. You are no longer reacting to what people say. You are orchestrating it. You feed the myth when it serves you. You starve it when you want mystery. You expand it when you need dominance. You shrink it when you need stealth. Your reputation is not a burden. It is an extension of your intelligence. And every move you make carves it sharper, heavier, more impossible to challenge. That's what separates you from the pretenders. They want applause, you want leverage, and that difference, that's why they'll always remain beneath you. But understand this, the weaponization of reputation isn't just external. It transforms you internally as well. Once you know that people fear you, you move differently, you talk differently, you carry yourself differently. Confidence stops being an act. It becomes your natural state. And when confidence is real, it doesn't need to announce itself. It radiates. It bends environments. It creates gravity. You've stepped into that gravity now. You no longer have to fight for space. Space adjusts itself around you. And the ones who once ignored you, they now orbit in submission, pretending it's mutual respect, while secretly trembling every time they address you. You've become a psychological empire. And empires don't negotiate with every petty rebel. Empires let fear do the talking. That's where you are now. Your reputation has transcended individual battles and entered into myth. And myths don't argue with mortals, they dictate reality. That's what you've become. A living myth in their present tense. A figure so heavy with consequence that even mentioning your name carries weight. That's why people hesitate, pause, edit themselves when they know you're near. They're not conversing with you, they're conversing with the aura you've built. And that aura? That's untouchable. But here's where the narrative evolves, where the curtain lifts on the final act of this reputation saga. Because once your name becomes myth, the battlefield changes. It's no longer about defeating enemies one by one. It's about constructing a legacy that suffocates generations. The fear you've built today must echo tomorrow. The dominance you wield in conversations must carve itself into culture. This is where a CIA-level genius separates from the rest. Anyone can spark fear in the present. But you engineer fear that metastasizes into legend, so that even when you're absent, your presence still dictates the outcome. That's the pinnacle, when your reputation becomes its own operative, infiltrating places your body hasn't even entered. See, ordinary people think reputation is about what people say about you when you leave the room. Wrong. That's level 1. The CIA-level mind knows reputation is about what people don't dare say, even in private, even in whispers, even in their most reckless thoughts. It's when your legend rewires the inner monologue of your enemies, when they rehearse scenarios in their head, and the version of you inside their imagination dismantles them before they even try. That's true power, when you live rent-free inside the psyche of people who've never even met you. And why does this happen? Because you're no longer just a human in their story. You've become a codename. Every genius at that level gets one. They don't say your real name. They assign you nicknames like the strategist, the interrogator, the ghost, the cipher. They reduce you into labels because labeling makes the myth easier to process. But what they don't realize is that labels only strengthen you. Because when they say, the strategist, everyone in the room knows exactly who they mean without explanation. When they whisper, the cipher, a shiver runs through the group. That's when you've crossed the threshold. You've stopped being a person. You've become institutionalized fear. And here's the critical shift. Once your reputation has matured into that level of infamy, you no longer move like others. You don't chase credibility, you radiate it. You don't fight for recognition, it arrives before you. And this is the part that drives your enemies insane. They can't erase it. They can't cancel it. They can't water it down. Because your reputation isn't based on fragile applause. It's built on demonstrated genius, on undeniable victories, on psychic precision that no smear campaign can touch. They can slander your character, but they cannot rewrite the moments where you outmaneuvered them so thoroughly it broke their sense of safety. That's tattooed into their memory. That's evidence carved in scars. So what do you do with this power? You wield it like a scalpel. You don't need to flex recklessly. You apply pressure surgically. Walk into negotiations, and your reputation reduces the opponent's opening demands by half before you've said anything. Enter conflicts, and your name alone convinces most to retreat. speak in debates, and people pre-concede because they know arguing with you feels like volunteering for execution. That's the efficiency of this level of genius. You don't drain yourself fighting every battle. You let the fear you've cultivated fight most of them for you. And by the time you actually engage, it's already a checkmate. But make no mistake, this didn't happen by accident. This is the result of you mastering layers of intelligence the average soul never even perceives. Emotional analysis, micro-expressions, tonal shifts, pattern recognition, strategic framing, social timing. All of it. You weren't just living, you were studying, dissecting, adapting. You weren't just existing, you were auditing the weaknesses of everyone around you, quietly storing data, testing patterns, refining your craft. That's why your genius feels alien to them. Because while they were gossiping, distracting themselves, numbing themselves, you were sharpening your mind into a weapon so lethal that even global agencies would envy the precision. And now, that blade has a reputation of its own. But here comes the paradox. The higher your reputation rises, the lonelier the air becomes. People want your advice but fear your judgment. They want your presence but dread your scrutiny. They want your friendship but tremble under the possibility that you've already decoded their flaws. That's the curse of being a CIA-level strategist. You become admired, feared, needed, but never comfortable. People can't relax around you. They can't just exist in your orbit. Because your reputation doesn't let them. It forces them to perform, to guard, to edit, to strategize, even when they don't want to. You've become their perpetual psychological interrogation. And whether you like it or not, that means you stand apart. But here's the beauty. That separation is your throne. Kings aren't supposed to blend in with peasants. Empires aren't supposed to kneel to every villager's comfort. You weren't built to blend. You were built to command. And your reputation, it doesn't isolate you. It elevates you. You stand alone, not because you're rejected, but because no one else qualifies to stand beside you. That's the tax of genius, walking alone on roads too dangerous for average minds. And yes, it makes them whisper. Yes, it makes them jealous. Yes, it makes them resentful. But underneath all that noise, one truth remains. They fear you. And that fear is the purest acknowledgement of your superiority. Now let's strip this to the bone. Why exactly is a reputation like yours feared? Not because you're violent, not because you're loud, but because you're surgical. Violence is predictable. Loudness is transparent. But surgical intelligence? That's terrifying, because it's invisible until it strikes. It's silent until it cuts. And once it cuts, there's no recovery. That's the hallmark of CIA-level genius. Not blunt force, but precision strikes that dismantle entire structures with one small move. And that's why your reputation isn't just fearsome, it's revered. Because people understand, consciously or not, that you don't need to destroy everything to prove your strength. You just need to destroy one thing so perfectly that the entire house collapses. And that's why, even when you're not in the room, your legend patrols the corridors. Your reputation is the phantom hand on their shoulder, reminding them not to step out of line. It's the shadow in their strategy meeting, the voice in their head when they're plotting against you, the hesitation before they execute their plan. They pause, they stall, they reconsider, because the thought of your counter-move paralyzes them. That's when you've won the highest level of warfare. Not when you're constantly fighting, but when the mere thought of fighting you prevents wars from even starting. But don't misunderstand. This doesn't mean you're untouchable in the literal sense. Every empire faces attempts. Every legend faces tests. What makes you different is how you handle them. You don't react emotionally. You don't scramble. You dissect calmly, respond surgically, and remind the world once again why your reputation carries nuclear weight. And each time you do, the myth grows larger, because every attempt to break you becomes another story that fuels the fire. Every enemy that fails becomes another warning for the next one. And soon the narrative becomes so thick, so untouchable, that even those who've never seen you in action treat you like an urban legend, too dangerous to provoke. And here lies the final truth. Reputations like yours don't die. They metastasize. They embed themselves in whispers, in rumors, in urban myths that outlive the flesh. Years from now, when new minds rise and old ones fade, your name will still circulate in corridors like a code word. People will still reference you as the standard no one could surpass. That's when fear transforms into immortality. That's when being a CIA-level genius stops being about you, the individual, and becomes about the archetype you created. You didn't just live. You rewrote what intelligence meant. You didn't just gain a reputation. You became the reputation. So wear it like armor. Wield it like a blade. Walk with it like a crown. Because you've built something most humans will never taste. You've gained a reputation everyone fears, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. And once a reputation calcifies into legend, there's no erasing it. There's no escaping it. You've joined the ranks of the untouchable few, the ones whispered about, respected in absence, feared in silence, immortalized in legacy. You've become a psychological empire, a myth in motion, a living cipher of strategy so terrifyingly precise that even the boldest dare not underestimate you. And that is the closing chapter. You gained a reputation everyone fears, because you are and always will be a CIA-level genius.